Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the talk show and podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, news, sports, lifestyle, music, everything really depending on the guest. Talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. You'll recognize my guest as Sarah Cushing in Superman Lois, which is available now on the CW. Inde Navarrette is with us. Inde, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. I love your character of Sarah. Such a dynamic, fun, intriguing character. What's it like playing Sarah on Superman Lois?
Oh, it's a gift. She's incredibly tough and smart, but she's multi-layered. There's a lot to her. It's really nice being able to peel back the layers and really get to see who she is throughout episodes. So you slowly get to see her, and as the season goes on, I'm sure you'll get to see a softer side of her too.
It's really interesting as well because we've seen the first couple episodes of Superman Lois. It hits us. We're introduced to all these new characters. We know about Superman Lois, but then we're introduced to his kids, and we're introduced to the Cushings and all these new dynamics. I mean, what's it like kind of being part of this kind of universe that we're not really used to? Like the viewer doesn't really know. It's like a new kind of dynamic and angle there too, right?
Yeah, it's cool. Todd actually did a really good job, and especially Lee Tolan-Krieger for the first two episodes of really solidifying of what Superman and Lois the show's going to be moving forward. It's just that oftentimes the show Friday Night Lights would come up, and it would just be, we want Superman and Lois to be as though it's inside of a real world. Like, this is a real world that logistically and realistically has Superman in it, and I think that that's really coming across, especially to the audience, with a lot of relatability with Jordan Kent and his social anxiety and how true Alex is playing that, and Sarah and her toughness with her family, and also the toughness between having kids who are teenagers and just everything, and moving back into your own town. And there was a beautiful scene in episode 4 that just recently came out between Lana and Lois, and really that question that the audience has of like, oh, is Superman is there going to be a possible love interest? Is that going to be a thing? And Todd, really, the showrunner, really solidified saying there will never be a moment where Clark even thinks about, this is Superman and Lois. They're together, and there's a beautiful scene with Lois and Lana where Lana really says, Clark's ultimately my oldest friend and that I have. He's my childhood friend, and to see the change that he's become the man that he is because of you. And it's a really beautiful moment between the two. So it's just it's reality all around. It's very intriguing.
Oh, absolutely. The reception has been amazing, but specifically the reception has just been globally amazing. There's people from all around the world that are watching Superman and Lois. What's that kind of like, looking at that reception that had an instant global impact?
It's really badass.
Yeah, it's badass. Really? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's touching, especially with the times that we're in. I mean, with us filming the show, we really like to keep our pods small, and especially with just being safe in the world, we have to really be careful with who we go around to, and the the socialness of what we're able to do. So to know that we're able to reach an audience that loud, and with social media and with things like what we're doing right now, where people can get to know me as me, and then I get to know them as them through social media, is such a beautiful thing. Because I mean, I know what my character means to me, right? But then to get to learn what people feel outwards in the world about, like Sarah Cushing and about the Kents and what Superman really means to people, it's astounding. It's awesome. It's
so amazing. It's funny you mentioned that too, because one of the things, I mean, there's so many different things that are happening in Superman Lois. There's a lot going on. There's, it's big. It's about, the geek culture, nerd culture vibe. They love that, the feel of it. It's big scale. But I love the kind of interactions and dialogues between characters, specifically scenes like in, the pilot, the bonfire scene where you and Alex, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Just scenes like that, because it's interesting how powerful words have become. And that's kind of like what I love. Like, I just love, just a conversation between two people that can make you feel like, wow, like this is insane. Isn't that interesting as well? How we're
Yeah.
shifting towards dialogue being really powerful, Indy?
Yeah, words are energy. Words are what we're using to express ourselves, and you being legitimate and honest. That's why a lot of people can tell when you're being truthful, and especially with acting, but just person to person, you can tell when a person's being truthful because of the impact and the energy that they have behind their words. And something that was really important for that scene was that that day there were some technical difficulties, and me and Alex really wanted to play truth to the scene and to really, because it's impactful. What they have to say is what a lot of kids are going through.
Yep.
And it would be wrong for us to not have that there. And so we ran through it a million times. And one take, Alex looks at me and told me this beautiful story about how, he met someone, he's from New York, and about how he met someone and they were talking, and you could really tell that this person who was talking to Alex was really just telling the truth for the first time. Yeah. And whenever he gave me that insight on things, I was like, that's exactly how I want to play Sarah in this exact moment. She's finally being able to tell the truth for the first time. It's really important how truth is, and to be able to speak the truth and to know that the person that you're saying it to isn't going to judge you for it. And that between Sarah and Alex, Sarah and Jordan, because knowing about Jordan's anxiety and feeling comfortable to be able to share that something that's so personal about herself to somebody who she knows is going to understand. So she's finally speaking the truth for the first time.
Would you say that's one of your favorite things about storytelling and being a storyteller, that you can dive into kind of scenes and moments that just kind of hit hard and that are just real kind of moments like that, Indy?
Yeah. Because you got to reckon, like, we're people, and whenever it comes to acting, I think that something that's misconstrued is just that, I mean, there's characters and then there's people, but there's kind of an intertwinedness. It's really important to kind of give an authenticity behind what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And really justify. I was reading an interview with Margot Robbie one time whenever she was talking about Harley Quinn, and about how once she learned that the codependency is really true, it's like a drug, she was able to justify anything that Harley Quinn could do, and that really comes across on screen. So if you can confidently justify even the really bad things that your character thinks is what they should do in the moment, if you're able to justify that, anybody can atone to that, because we've all done, stuff in the moment that we had intentions for to hurt a broken, or to heal like a broken heart and anything like that. So
it's funny because I've seen online, and there's a lot of like Superman Lois like fan groups and Facebook posts and everything, and they really enjoy, like, people really love like the kind of growth and relationships between characters, and like the kind of like real discussions and moments that are happening within the show. Like, it's funny because you would think of like a superhero show, the explosions and the flying and throwing the car. Yeah, there's that too. Yeah. There's that, but there's also the moments that just kind of hit you hard, that are like, whoa, this is Tale of Two Shows a little bit. You got the nerd culture, the geek culture, but this also has heart. And I think Superman and Lois does that as well. Nerd culture and geek culture, I mean, it is insane how crazy that's kind of blew up. It's nuts. It's wild. It's always been popular, but I feel like it's a lot more popular now, and it's like cool to be a geek or a nerd. What do you think about that? Because I used to, wear like my Batman shirts and my Flash shirts, and they would call me a nerd. You know what I mean? They're not going to do that now.
No. And I think it has to do with the fact that, I mean, I don't know if this is pre-pandemic, but my brain only tends to go to post-pandemic, because that's really all I can remember now. But the things that bring us joy, genuinely, I mean, they're just that. They're things that bring us joy. And who's to say like one's better than the other or what isn't? And I think in the pandemic, with everybody finding what truly makes them happy, now nobody can say like, oh, you're a nerd for that or you're a geek for that, because then we're all just trying to find happiness in something. Whether that's Superman, whether that's Batman, whether that's, I like to crochet. Like, who really cares? It's what brings you happiness, and especially in this time, we all need it.
So that's a good segue. I mean, besides kind of acting and storytelling, you mentioned crochet. I mean, what else are kind of things that you enjoy doing, but like besides kind of the acting stuff?
Yeah, I go through spurts of like hyper focusing on stuff. Like I was making I love making clay art. I know
Yeah,
I've
that's
done
awesome.
middle
Art
school,
is a
like
huge thing. People love doing art during the
people
pandemic.
I love painting, I love drawing. I'm really obsessed with eyes right now. I think that eyes are dope. I think
Yeah,
that they're
no, for sure.
drawing eyes different ways. Crocheting, I'm trying to make a sweater. I don't think it's going to end up right because I'm not using a template, but just like trying different things that's sparking my interest, because I feel like my generation has really short attention spans and I'm not really able to watch a movie right now because my attention span is so bad. So trying to sit there and to have like my hands idling at something, or to really like Dollarama out here has been my best friend. I'll go there, get crafts.
I'm sure it was there a little bit because we talked about it. Like geek culture, comic book culture is so massive. You know what I mean? So I'm like, a lot of people, like it's there in our society, right? They've come across, you know, Batman and DC Universe as well. Has your interest though in that culture increased since doing Superman and Lois? Would you say?
Yeah, no, I love the Suicide Squad. I genuinely have been obsessed with the story of the Joker. Granted, everybody's like, Superman, Batman. I'm like, I like the Joker. I think that those storylines and the way that narcissism and trauma kind of root into things, and especially with, you know, Joker, Harley Quinn, and Margot Robbie, love her. But going back to specifically Superman, I've never really read comics or anything like that, and then seeing and watching the reviews and what people have to say about the show and how they get really excited. And I've seen videos of people wearing this, like their Superman what is it called, gear, I guess you could say. They're watching
and all that.
It just, you can't help but love their passion for it, and then you can't help but get passionate yourself about it, because then it's just contagious seeing their love for it. Oh my God, it's beautiful. So it's heightened the way that I see a lot of things, and especially the way that I view Superman, because
for sure,
I'm really excited and loving it. And it's like, I want to be a part of that too. I am a part of that now, but
for sure. One last question before we wrap up as well. The obvious answer to this question, Inde, is you hope people enjoy it. You hope they watch it. They tell their family and friends, right? But diving deep into it a little bit more, what do you hope exactly people get when out of watching Superman and Lois? Like, what do you hope they get from it?
I really hope they get a sense of escapism, but also a sense of, there's a lot of shows where I've, you know, felt like a really big hug, or movies where I feel insanely inspired. For me, that's Fast and Furious. If I play if I play the album while I'm working out, I feel like I'm like Letty Ortiz. I hope to God one day that people look at our show and they have a moment, whether it's me, I mean, Jordan or Jonathan or Kent or Lana or Eric, Kyle, like where they genuinely love a character and they have that excitement and they have that inspiration, or they just are able to watch the show and kind of forget about stuff for a minute, you know? So
absolutely. No, for sure. That's great. Inde, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It's always lovely.
So they could watch Superman and Lois on the CW, which is exciting. It's just amazing. As soon as you kind of watch from just the pilot just on, it's just unbelievable.
Wait for episode 5.
Yeah, I did want to give a quick shout out to my friends in the Blue Stones, because their song "Let It Ride" can be heard in the scene in the bonfire with you and Alex. So shout out to them because it's a good song that's in there. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Inde Navarrette, INDENAVARRETTE. There's 2 R's and there's 2 T's. Just remember that.
Very easy. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Inde Navarrette and PD Beats signing off.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.